Many of you guys might have played Assassin's Creed games and enjoyed its story, but you probably might not know the real story of Assassin's Creed. And I'm not joking, Assassin's Creed actually existed in real life. Obviously, the Assassin's Creed games are fictional, but the series was started on the basis of an actual historical event. And in this video, I'm gonna be covering the real story of Assassin's Creed. But before that, I would highly appreciate a like on this video and feel free to subscribe to this channel. So, some days ago, I made a video on how Assassin's Creed was founded, and I mentioned how the then Assassin's Creed creative director, also known as Patrice Désilets, got the idea of Assassin's Creed from an actual historical event. It was based upon the historical Hashashin sect of Ismaili, who were followers of Shia Islam. Now, you might be confused after hearing this, I know. So, I'm gonna break it down. Just like we have the Hidden Ones or the Assassins, in real life, it was called the Order of the Assassins. They were also known as Hashashin. It emerged in the Middle East during the 11th century. They were a secretive and highly trained group of Shiite Muslims who operated primarily in Persia and Syria. The name assassin is believed to have originated from the Arabic word Hashashin, meaning users of hashish, possibly because of rumors suggesting that the members of the order would consume hashish before carrying out their missions. And hashish is a concentrated form of cannabis. However, historians debate the extent to which drug use played a role in the order's activities. It might be like their fun zone, when they came after the assassinations, they, used this, but who knows. Okay, so let's start about the founding of it. The founder of the assassins is commonly believed to be hassan-i, a charismatic leader who established a stronghold in the mountain fortress of Alamut in what is now Iran. And if you guys have played Assassin's Creed Mirage, you know what the Alamut fortress was. Where Basim trains himself, that is Alamut Fortress, and it is an actual place. It's not fictional. From Alamut and other fortified castles, the assassins conducted their operations, which primarily involved targeted assassinations of political and religious figures. Now, this guy, Hassan, who started the Order of the Assassins, was born in the city of Qum in Persia, modern-day Iran, around 1050 CE. Hassan-i initially studied Ismaili Shia Islam, a branch of Shia Islam that followed the teachings of the Ismaili Imams. He became associated with the Fatimid Caliphate, headquartered in Cairo, and was a major center of Ismaili thought and influence during the medieval period. Hassan was deeply influenced by the teachings of Ismaili Shia Islam, which preached the concept of the imamate or divine leadership. Seeking to establish his authority, Hassan gathered a band of loyal followers and established a stronghold in the mountain fortress of Alamut, and obviously they were called the Assassins. Now let's talk about their motive. The primary motive of the Assassins was to propagate their version of Islam, the Nizari branch of the Ismailism. They sought to establish a theocratic state based on their religious beliefs, which diverged from mainstream Sunni Islam. So if you guys know, there's two parts of Islam. One is the Shia Islam, the other is the Sunni Islam, and majority of the people in the world right now are from Sunni Islam, and there's less amount of people in Shia Islam. So these assassins were from, the branch of Ismailism, which is obviously in Shia Islam. Their ultimate goal was to create a society where the religious leader, the Imam, would be the supreme authority. The Ismailis believed in a living, infallible Imam descended from Ali, the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. This Imam was considered the spiritual and temporal leader of the community, holding divine authority. The assassins aimed to preserve their religious beliefs and practiced against the dominant Sunni orthodoxy. They sought to protect their communities and propagate their version of Islam. Their mission was both defensive in safeguarding their beliefs and offensive in spreading their faith through dawah. The ultimate goal was to create a state where the Imam's rule was supreme. This state would be governed by the principles of Ismailism, ensuring a society structured according to their religious and ethical values. The assassins had numerous enemies due to their radical beliefs and methods. The Seljuk Empire, a major Sunni power, posed a significant threat to the Ismailis. The Seljuks sought to consolidate Sunni orthodoxy, often persecuting Shia minorities. The assassins' political motive was to resist and undermine Seljuk authority, thereby weakening Sunni dominance and creating space for their own rule. While initially the Crusaders were also targets, the assassins occasionally formed temporary alliances with them when it suited their interests. It is a classic case of the enemy of an enemy is a friend. If you guys have played Assassin's Creed 1, we actually fight the Crusaders as well at the same times, but not for this reason, but because, they were on the Templar side and the Templars were seeking help from the Crusaders. And, a lot of that stuff is fictional, obviously, so there's going to be differences, right? Various other Muslim dynasties and rulers who did not align with their beliefs or pose a threat to their existence were also targeted. Establishing fortified strongholds like Alamut allowed the assassins to maintain autonomy and defend themselves from larger political and military forces. These fortresses served as centers of power, enabling them to conduct their activities and sustain their community. The assassins, like other Ismailis, emphasized principles of social justice and equity. Their vision included not only religious governance but also social reforms that would create a just and equitable society. The Nizari Ismailis valued intellectual pursuits and cultural achievements. They established libraries and centers of learning at their fortresses. The preservation and dissemination of knowledge were integral to their mission, reflecting a broader ideological commitment to education and enlightenment. Many Ismailis viewed themselves as a persecuted minority. The assassin's actions can be seen as a form of resistance against the oppression and marginalization they faced. Their targeted assassinations were a means to strike back at powerful oppressors, asserting their presence and rights in a hostile environment. Now let's talk about their assassination methods, and I know a lot of you might be really curious about this thing. By eliminating key political and military leaders, the assassins sought to create power vacuums, disrupt enemy plans, and instill fear among their adversaries. This tactic was intended to weaken enemy structures and protect their own communities. Establishing and maintaining impregnable fortresses like Alamut provided the assassins with safe havens. These strongholds were not only military bases but also centers for religious and intellectual activities, embodying their vision of theocratic and enlightened society. Now, if you guys have played Assassin's Creed 1, you might think that this is a little different. Obviously, in Assassin's Creed game, they don't have this much sort of religious stuff in it, right? It's just between the one who has more controller, either the assassins or the Templars. There's not much about, this Shia Islam, about the religious stuff. Because obviously, if you go into the religion, it's gonna be a little controversial, right? So I feel like it's more safe to actually, have a story like that. So the assassins employed infiltration and espionage to gather intelligence and position themselves advantageously with enemy ranks, just like we saw in Assassin's Creed 1. Again, we had so many assassins that used to do all this sort of stuff, in order to gain information and intel so that it can help us. This method allowed them to execute their plans with precision and efficiency, maximizing their impact despite their smaller numbers. And finally, we have the aftermath. The Order of the Assassins maintained its influence for nearly 2 centuries. However, their decline began in the mid-13th century. The decisive blow came from the Mongols. In 1256, Hulagu Khan, a Mongol general, launched a campaign against the assassins. The Mongols captured and destroyed Alamut and other key strongholds, effectively dismantling the power of the assassins in Persia. While the Mongols crushed the Persian branch, a Syrian branch of the assassins continued to exist for a while longer. However, they too eventually succumbed to the Mamluk Sultanate by the late 13th century. Despite their downfall, the legend of the assassins lived on. They were romanticized in later literature and folklore. The term assassin entered various languages as a word for a hired or professional killer. And that's the end of the real story of the assassins. Now, a lot of these things are quite different than what we saw in Assassin's Creed 1, but a lot of these things are kind of similar that, we are fighting against this cruel empire at that time, of different places, and, we had 3 different cities in Assassin's Creed 1. One was Acre, the other one was Jerusalem, and then obviously Damascus. We had the missions in all these 3 places, and it kind of aligns with it because, the assassins actually worked in these specific places as it is written in the history. The main difference that I saw in this story in the game is that assassins were actually against the Templars, and the Crusaders, but here it is also mentioned that actually a lot of times the assassins took help of the Crusaders in order to dismantle the Seljuk Empire. There's variations and stuff like that, but overall I can say that whatever story that has been taken from this actual historical event was pretty good in my opinion, and whatever they made based on this was really solid. And we got such a good story, even though it is fictional, but still it was quite good. But anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. By the way, make sure to like this video and consider subscribing to this channel if you like my content, and comment down your thoughts. What do you think about the Assassin's Creed 1 story and how it is correlated with the actual history? And I'll see you guys in the next one.